Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Rentz here, host of the Raiders Report, and coming up on today's show, Thayer Munford is going to be the Raiders' right tackle this season. It has been something that I have discussed multiple times on this show, that this has been the Raiders' plan all along, is to have number 77 be their starting right tackle. But here's the thing, more and more reports continue to come out from OTAs that this man is dominating all of the first team reps on the right side at right tackle. And coming up here, I'm going to tell you why he is going to start for the people that still do not think that he's going to be the Raiders starting right tackle. If you're looking for content, I'm talking 366 this year. Hit that subscribe button. We're dropping videos all the time. And for a lot of people that are already subscribed, you've probably already seen this video right here, up here. And it was the plan of Antonio Pierce, the Raiders, revealing what they're going to do with the offensive line. So for some of you that saw this 2 weeks ago, you're ahead of the curve. For those of you that maybe aren't subscribed to the show, we've talked about a lot of this stuff before, but I just find it funny that it's starting to gain smoke yet again. So with Thayer Munford starting at right tackle again, reports continuously come out that he's getting all of the first team reps at right tackle over DJ Glaze, over everybody else, and he's just really going out there and showing out. I saw this interesting quote from Tashan Reed on Thayer Munford from somebody who's at Raiders practice, who's around the facility. Obviously, we have a certain relationship with players that we talk to. Thayer is one of those guys, but Reed's actually there in the building. He didn't leave the starting lineup during practice, which shouldn't be shocking considering his only real competition on the roster is rookie DJ Glaze. While Munford has made several starts at left tackle and right tackle during his first 2 years in the league, he has never been a full-time starter. He once struggled with his confidence, but that's no longer the case. He believes he's fully capable of being the long-term answer at right tackle. So when you look at the Raiders' offensive line, I do fully agree with what Reed here has been saying, and it's going to be what I say here. It's what I said 2 weeks ago. Thayer Munford is the Raiders' starting right tackle. His only competition is a rookie in Glaze, who they are excited about. But the Raiders, yes, they drafted him in round 3. It was a little bit of a reach because there was a run on the offensive tackle position. No disrespect to Dalton Wagner. I don't think he's going to make this 53-man roster for the simple fact of you got a brand new regime, brand new offensive line coach, bottom roster guy. Those three things, you add them up, you're just not going to be on the team, and that's just what it comes down to. So for Munford, if he can stay healthy and if he could stay motivated, and Munford was a player that, talk about another guy, somebody that was kind of a leader, somebody who helped put Munford underneath his wing. And again, I'll talk about that here in a second. But Munford, he's going to be the Raiders starting right tackle. But you know what? I have said things on this show before that end up being true. I've said things on this show that have ended up being false. It's kind of the fun part of the offseason that it is. So I want to know, this is going to be the pinned comment here on today's show. Scroll on down. You're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. Will Munford be the Raiders starting right tackle? Yes or no? Let me know. The answer is yes, as long as the Raiders don't have a major injury along the offensive line. Like, if Colton Miller were to go down on the left tackle, maybe they decide to kick Munford over to left tackle because he has some of that versatility. If a JPJ, a Dylan Parham end up going down, then there's another opportunity where Munford, who does have some of that flexibility, could slide in. But another reason why they drafted DJ Glaze is because of his flexibility. One of the reasons why they re-signed Jordan Meredith, who bottom roster guy, but it's some of his versatility. Andres Pete, versatility. Cody Whitehair, versatility. This team wants versatility, and just because Munford can play guard and can play on the left side, that doesn't mean that's where he's going to play. He's going to be the Raiders starting right tackle. So coming up here, I'm going to give you 5 reasons of why Munford is going to be the starting right tackle for the Silver and Black. And if you don't believe me, one, I don't know why you're watching this show. You're just wasting your own time. Maybe you believe Antonio Pierce. Maybe you believe what some of those guys have to say. You know what I do believe in? If you work out your legs, you should be allowed to show them. And if you got nice knees, Chubby's is here for you. ChubbyShorts.com/chat is the link that I want you guys to go to. Going to be down in the comments. Going to be in the description of today's show. And luckily for you, I got some more pictures of me and the guys here at Chat Sports rocking our Chubbies. You're also going to see Chuck here once or twice. So it's skies out, thighs out. Summer is right around the corner, and our friends at Chubbies are bringing the good vibrations Chubby's is a lifestyle apparel brand that makes every moment feel like a vacation. They say fashion is the expression of one's character, so why not let your world know you're down for a good time? For a limited time, Chubby's is giving our listeners 20% off your order with our exclusive code CHAT. Use code CHAT at chubbyshorts.com/chat. Chubby's offers a variety of high-quality men's apparel, from super stretchy shorts, swim trunks, and 3 short inseam lengths to pants, polos, and button-down shirts for when you try to hit up your favorite weekend brunch spot. Embrace the spirit of endless summer with Chubby's, the ultimate destination for bold, vibrant, and outrageously comfortable clothing. Whether you're getting dressed for your workday, a workout, or a weekend getaway, Chubby's has you covered. For a limited time, Chubby's is giving our viewers 20% off your order with code CHAT at chubbyshorts.com/chat. That's code CHAT at chubbyshorts.com/chat. Support our show and tell them we sent you. Don't blend in with the crowd. Stand out with Chubby's. Unfortunately, this is not me, and neither is that, though. I'm working to get back into shape, but you guys just keep kicking my butt here with all these beer bongs. Luckily, Chuck still loves me. I plan on rocking some Chubby stuff this weekend. My dad is going to be in town. We're going to have a good time. Though I'll be honest, the Chubby inseam short lengths, the 7 inches are good. My personal favorite are the 5.5-inch length, which Alex always says it's the perfect length, right? 4 inches, though, maybe some of y'all is going to be too short. I know this. If I wore the 4-inch ones for my dad, like if with him around, might not like it. Going to the beach, though, 4-inch inseam, absolutely, I'm all about it. Shout out to Chubby's, a longtime friend here at Chat Sports, and now a sponsor of the Raiders Report. Absolutely love it. Hey, it's summertime, baby. Show off those legs. So here we go. Coming up next on the show, why Thayer Munford is going to be the starting right tackle for the Silver and Black. The number one and the biggest reason is because I am a believer of Antonio Pierce is a man of his word. And, you know, you can say a lot of things about a lot of other head coaches, and I know sometimes when we say coach speak, I almost feel like it's because Raider fans in just the last few years kind of got ingrained in our brain that it doesn't matter what John Gruden and Mike Mayock say. They're just because they say it doesn't mean anything. Just because Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler said something, that it doesn't mean that it's just coach speak. They're just saying words. When Antonio Pierce speaks, they have volume. They have validity. They actually mean something. And Pierce, he spoke to the media before Raiders rookie minicamp. You got to go back on Thursday, May 9th, and AP said that right tackle is Munford's job for the taking. He is literally telling everybody they're playing the entire long. So Munford's out there getting all the first-team reps, and he's literally dominating the first-team reps, and people are acting like it's news. It's not news. The only way if it's news is if you don't follow along the entire offseason, and I get it. It's May. I get it. It's not maybe the time for everyone, but I'm a real one. If you're a real one, this is the show for you, because for the real ones that are watching this, you're like, yeah, Mitch, we talked about this 2 weeks ago. You're right. We did talk about it, and Pierce seems pretty damn confident there, Munford, and it's making me pretty confident as well. Let's go to the next reason here is you didn't even try to re-sign Jermaine Illuminor. I've seen it being thrown out there that the Raiders did try to re-sign him. I'm just going to tell you flat out, and maybe Jermaine told me something bad. Illuminor looked me dead in the eyes and said they didn't try to re-sign me. So maybe Jermaine's BSing me. I don't really see him being that guy. Him and I are good friends. So Jermaine, for him to tell me that they didn't try to bring him back and that, like, the New York Giants were going to be a team that was going to be interested in him because of Carmen Brasillo, another thing where we were on the show saying, hey, Jermaine's probably going to go to the Giants. 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, Jermaine Illuminor ends up signing to the Giants. But, like, he had such a good year last season. I shouldn't say such a good year, but Jermaine was one of the most underappreciated right tackles in all of the NFL, and he was coming off a career season. If the Raiders, who were, you know, had a probability of having Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew, they didn't know who the quarterback was going to be. You need to be able to protect that right side of that offensive line. And for how good he played, they said, no, we're going to roll with Thayer Munford. So be honest with me. What is your confidence level in Thayer Munford? Scale it from me from 1 to 10. 1, you're not confident at all. 10, he's going to be the best right tackle in the NFL. And I want your honest opinion on this, because for me personally, I am still at a 6 on Munford. I want to believe that he's going to be a great right tackle. I've seen good glimpses of him being a solid guy on the right side, him being a solid guy on the left side. But it's not easy doing it week in and week out, especially when people get more and more tape on your weaknesses. I'm curious to see how Thayer does this entire season if he is able to play all 17 games. Let's go to the next thing here. Actions sometimes they speak louder than words, and AP's words are loud, man. He ain't afraid to yell it. But when you look at the actions and what the Raiders did specifically on the offensive line this offseason, the first thing they do is they re-sign Andre James, right? You bring him back, so they're really just saying, hey, the number one focus that we have on our entire offensive line, remember, when only Colton Miller, only Dylan Parham were there, we were missing Andre James, Greg Van Roten is still a free agent, and then Jermaine Illuminor. The Raiders said, our number one focus, not Jermaine, Andre James, bring him back to center. Cool, done deal. Then you end up re-signing Jordan Meredith, which Jordan Meredith has some of his connections with Champ Kelly. He's got some connections with his old Chicago regime over there, which maybe Getsy's got a little tie-in as well. But what is Jordan Meredith known for? Interior offensive line. Then what do the Raiders do after the NFL draft? They go out and they sign Andres Pete. And what does Antonio Pierce say right off the jump the first time he has the opportunity to talk about Pete? He says that he's going to play on the left side of the offensive line. Says that he's going to be the backup left tackle to Colton Miller, and says that, like, that's where he's going to be. Telesco and Antonio Pierce have been very transparent the entire year. What do they do when they're getting ready to draft Brock Bowers? They call up Michael Mayer and say, hey, you're still going to be a big part of this team. Right before the Raiders are getting ready to draft Jackson Powers Johnson, what do? They call Andre James, go, you're still going to be the center of this team. So literally, if Antonio Pierce hasn't come out and said Thayer Munford's going to be the Raiders starting right tackle, the only reason is because he's trying to create more competition for this offensive line, which is never a bad thing. Let's go to the next one. The Raiders passed on right tackle in the draft, where think about how many mock drafts we did. Think about how many shows we did where we're like, hey, if Talisi Fuanga, J.C. Latham, if an offensive lineman falls, the Raiders are going to take a corner or a right tackle. Guess what they did? They decided to go with a option of a secret weapon, Pablo Sanchez, backyard baseball, Brock Bowers. You know what I mean? Like tight end, wide receiver. You had all your offensive tackles potentially on the board. Talisi Fuanga. Like, I know for a fact the Raiders love Fuanga. His family, Raider fans. Who ends up going the very next pick? Fuanga to the New Orleans Saints. But, like, when you look at all of the things that Antonio Pierce has said, all of the actions in the draft, free agency, re-signing, and especially the draft, when you could take your right tackle that has been just linked to you for the entire month, 2, 4, 6, 8 weeks, you said, no, we're going to pass on him. And then guess what? You passed on right tackle again at pick 44, and then you decided at pick 77 to take an offensive lineman that some people consider to be an offensive guard. Actions are speaking very, very loud, and so are those words. The last reason is he's ready to show out. I've had the opportunity a few times this offseason to speak to Thayer, and Thayer told me that he wants to play right tackle. And I like that mindset a lot because it kind of reminds me, and I say this often on the show, where I write down notes. And one of the notes that I had on Jermaine Illuminor last season was Jermaine told me that he doesn't want to play offensive guard, that he only wants to play on that right side. He only wants to play tackle, and he's going to prove it. He's going to show it. When you carry that chip on your shoulder and you're able to go into an entire offseason and you're able to train to be like that main guy, that right tackle, those extra reps pay major, major dividends. And then on top of that, you know, I talked to a lot of the offensive linemen last season, and a lot of those guys told me, like, y'all are sleeping on Thayer. Y'all are sleeping on Thayer. Thayer's going to be a dog. Thayer Munford was a player that we had a first-round grade on just a few years ago during the NFL draft back when he was at Ohio State, and then had an injury, kind of slowed down a little bit. If he can stay healthy, and if Thayer Munford can hit his peak, it's going to be one of those moves, I think, at the end of the year that we're like, wow, I can't believe we were trying to move on from Thayer Munford. Not move on from like the Raiders standpoint, but this fan base was ready to move on from Thayer Munford. And I'm not afraid to say it. I was part of that clan of I was ready to potentially move on from a player that I do think you got to see what he's got. And if he's not good, well, then you get some extra depth. You got some other players there in DJ Glaze. You got a guy like potentially Andres Pete. Maybe he could slide over there. Dylan Parham is another option. The Raiders have versatility and depth on the offensive line, which is exactly why I'm super happy the Raiders are giving Thayer Munford his opportunity to dominate the first team snaps at Raiders OTAs.